Well, is it really possible these days to stop children spending so much time looking at screens, or should we just accept that technology is now a central part of childhood? I'm joined by parenting expert Liz Frase and also technology researcher Vicky Beeching. Good to see you both tonight, ladies. Vicky, let's start with you. I mean, this is proof, isn't it, the damage that technology does do, particularly to children?
I don't think it is. I'm very biased towards technology, and I think the problems arise when we actually start looking at the tool, which is the technology, and focusing the blame on that. These tools are similar to ones we've used throughout the ages. There's fire, there's the invention of the wheel, there's the printing press. All of these technologies like, the printing press, radio, TV, have freaked us all out, and we've engaged in what I call techno-panic about all of these different things. It's not about the medium. It's actually about how we use it. So you can't juxtapose and blame the tool.
And I suppose, exactly, we can't blame the tools, can we? And I suppose technology and screens are just such part of our lives these days, so we have to accept it, don't we?
They are, and they have huge positives. Quite clearly, there are enormous benefits in being able to use technology and what we can get from technology. What's changed very dramatically in the last probably decade or so is what we are seeing on these screens and what children are doing on those screens. And actually, I don't really buy so much the whole if they're on watching telly, they're not doing exercise thing, because actually we have no way of knowing that they would be doing exercise if they weren't on telly. What I think is much more significant is that the world children and adults are exposed to now on telly, online, in these games is so fantastic and so amazing and wonderful and whiz-bang, and they get such a hit from it that it's totally addictive, and also it makes the real world really boring, really, really boring. So the more we're letting our children be in this crazy world, this imaginary fantasy world, the more difficult and the more boring they're finding it in the real day-to-day world. And that's actually where, in this study, what they're talking about, the emotional side, the depression side, kicks in. And that's very important.
What do you think of that, Vicky?
Yeah, I think that we really introduce a broken binary when we talk about real world and virtual. Actually, we're heading towards a time when the two will be so blurred, and they even are now, that actually what happens in one is not just juxtaposed to the other. I think we're going to be so saturated in technology in the future, we need to train our children not to see them as opposites, but actually to see them as very much one and the same thing.
But a lot of people think, listening to you, surely you do concede that being outside, playing in the fresh air, climbing up a tree is much better than spending hours watching
But the
television.
wrong thing to do is to demonise the technology, and that's what we're in danger of doing. Lots of the headlines you see are very kind of, demonising that as this thing that's coming in as a personalised attack. And we need to go, actually, we can use this. Children can learn online. It could be very educational.
And I suppose we don't all have Enid Blyton lifestyles, do we? And a lot of parents can't send their kids outdoors these days. It's just a reality.
Exactly. No. We all know that, absolutely. And one of the big difficulties also for children is that the rules which apply online and in virtual world don't apply in real life. The biggest one being consequence. There's no consequence to their actions online at all, and you can't then bring that into your real life, because if you're used to being able to, of course it does, and there are benefits
to respond to really unusual circumstances and get used to reacting quickly.
We're not talking about an hour in a day here, an hour or two. We're talking kids who are online for 6 hours a day. Yeah, that's a pretty serious problem for them.
And Vicky, just briefly, would you trade in your childhood for one these days?
I think there's a lot to be said for the way our brains are shifting. There's some really interesting neurological research going on at the moment about how we're actually changing in our ability to have attention. I think I would. I wish I was one of these digital kids.
Oh no, never. Absolutely. Sort of a mixture of both would be lovely.
Okay.
But,
Thanks so much for joining us.